Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be talking about the quadratic formula, so similar to the problems that you see up on the screen here. Just a reminder, this is the normal version. If you want the speedrun version, where we go through it pretty quickly, I'll link that in the description below. For your Ricasso Recap, you should already know how to simplify radicals and you should know how to factor quadratics. If you want refreshers on either of these two topics, I'll link videos in the description below. Please go watch those before you start this lesson. All right, new lesson starts now. Here we go. So we've been following this list, right? This is for quadratics. We want to solve the quadratic equation. We've been following this list. Is it in standard form? Check. Is there a greatest common factor? No. This has three terms. Is it a perfect square trinomial? No, it's not. And in the last lesson, we did a times c add to b. However, this problem cannot be solved that way. Okay, there is no combination that works. So we have to have a new tool, a new method, a new way to solve these, and it's called the quadratic formula. This is the quadratic formula written down here. It's kind of big and ugly and scary. It's not going to be that bad. Now I'm going to, as a way to help you remember the quadratic formula, I'm going to, for one and only time on this channel, you're going to hear me sing, and I'm going to sing this quadratic formula set to Pop Goes the Weasel. Here we go. Negative b plus or minus, and then you take the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I hope that helps. Now, you'll notice that the quadratic formula has the letters a, b, and c in it. Well, we know how to find those. We've been using a, b, and c, 1, -7, -12. And now we're going to substitute, right? I'm going to take this -7. I'm going to plug it in for the b. We can ignore this part for now. Just focus on the negative b, blah, blah, blah. And when you substitute, my suggestion would be to put it in parentheses. So notice it starts with a negative, so we need a negative sign. Then I need parentheses, and then it says negative b. So b is in -7. Then it has this plus minus symbol. We'll talk about that at the end. Just for now, put it the way you say it is plus minus. Then we have the square root of b squared, so -7 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is -12. Again, I'm using parentheses to plug in, or when I substitute. And then it's all over 2 times a, which is 1. Now we can simplify a little bit. I see this negative. Hopefully you remember, oh, that's just a positive. So now we have +7 plus or minus the square root of -7 squared is 49. This part, if you do -4 times 1 times -12, you get +48, all divided by 2. 49 plus 48 gives me 7 plus or minus the square root of 97 all over 2. The square root of 97 cannot be simplified, okay? We should know how to simplify radicals. That cannot be simplified. So we're going to leave our answer looking like this. And it looks a little weird with that plus minus. All the plus minus actually means is it means 7 plus the square root of 97 over 2 is one answer. And my second answer just has a minus sign there instead. So there's two different answers, but by writing the plus minus symbol, makes it a little easier to write the answer. All right, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now they've had time to work these problems. Let's check your solutions. For the first problem, here is the work and final answer. And for the second problem, here is the work and final answer. Now for this problem, again, let's assume we've done all the checks, right? Step 1, step 2, we come all the way down, we need to use the quadratic formula. So we're going to do the same thing we did in the last problem. We're going to plug in a, b, and c. When we do that, it looks like this. So you get to here in the problem, and what's new now is the square root of 12 can be simplified. Okay, again, we learned that in a previous lesson. This can be broken into 4 and 3, which gives me 2 square root of 3. So now it looks like this, -10 plus or minus 2 square root of 3 over -4. And now what you need to check for, okay, at the end, you need to check, can I simplify the radical? And then, can I reduce this? All right, this is a sort of an ugly looking fraction, but this can be reduced. Now, two things to remember here. One, my suggestion would be leave the negative signs where they are. Okay, there are ways to reduce this and make them positive, but it can get a little confusing in my opinion. I find it's easier to just leave the negative signs where they are. And instead, you need to look at 10, 4, and 2. So you have two fractions here. You have 10 over 4, okay, that's this part. And you have 2 over 4. That's this part. And now the question is, what is a number that you can reduce both of these fractions by? It has to be the same number, okay? You cannot reduce it by two different numbers. Well, the answer here is that I can reduce both of these by 2. If I reduce 10 over 4, I get 5 over 2. And if I reduce 2 over 4, I get 1/2. I'm out of space here, 1/2. Okay. So now, final answer is going to look like this. Final answer. 10 over 4 became 5 over 2. Keep the plus minus. Oh, and keep the negative signs, right? I said keep these negative signs where they are. Plus minus, and 2 over 4 became 1 over 2, and the square root of 3 is still there. Notice, here's your 5 over 2, that's the first fraction. Here's your 1 over 2, that's the second fraction. And so this is your final answer. Normally we don't write the 1 in front of radicals, so it might look like this. You could put the 1. Either way, the answer is correct. All right, here's our cool clock for today. Time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video, try these two on your own. When you're ready, unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem here is the work and final answers. Quick side note, you got 3 over 6 here, which you might think, oh, that can be reduced again, but remember you have to reduce everything by the same number. And so when I reduce by 2, I can't reduce 1 over 6 any further, so this is the final answer. For the second problem, you may have noticed something strange. You're getting a negative under the radical. Getting a negative under the radical, there are ways to solve this. If you've learned about imaginary numbers, you can solve it that way. But for this lesson, we're going to put NRS, which just stands for no real solutions. There are solutions, they're just not real numbers. All right, that is it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.